Ladies and gentlemen, the CARO KANN is an opening in chess that you play with the black pieces to immediately challenge the center of the board. Okay, center control in chess is so important. I mean, there are all these new modern openings where you like fianchetto early, get your king to safety, and prepare challenging in the center a lot later in the game. So many new modern variations. Daniel Naroditsky speaks about it quite a lot, where challenging in the center immediately is not as important as it used to be back in the olden days, you know, with Mikhail Tau and those lot. However, at a beginner level, I mean, I ultimately recommend just putting your pawns in the center of the board. I mean, even like an intermediate level where I'm at, pawns in the middle of the board, very, very important. So to challenge that out the opening with black is absolutely incredible. It's a great resource to have in your back pocket. So when your opponent plays the move e4, you play the move c6. Okay, now it looks a little bit strange because, like, why are we just developing this pawn? Like, we're blocking our knight. Like, we can't even develop a bishop yet. Normally, you know, you push a center pawn, open up a bishop, prepare a knight to move. But the idea is that, let's say white plays d4, you immediately play d5. And you just completely rip open the center of the board and equalize the position as quickly as possible. Oftentimes in the CARO KANN, let's say they play the advanced variation with e5, then things are going to be a little bit slower paced, a little bit of a grind, and it's not going to be as rip open the board and attack as, you know, maybe you would like. But against e5, this advanced variation, I actually recommend playing c5, which is known as the Botvinnik-Karls variation. And you just look to immediately challenge this pawn. I mean, white here has a couple of ideas. They can play knight c3, they could play knight to f3, they could play the move c3, they could even just take this pawn. And if they are to take this pawn, then you play the move e6, just opening your dark square bishop ready to recapture. If they play a move like b4, for example, reinforcing, then you just play a5. And if they were to go here, I mean, you can just capture this because they can't take back, because then you would win their rook. So, you know, you just immediately challenge for the center. But they don't necessarily have to play this advanced variation. They could just go ahead and take this pawn, which is known as the exchange variation. And this is just as simple as it gets, really. I mean, you just develop your knights, you slowly prepare to castle, get your bishops out, and you just have a very active game where all your pieces are developed, and it's just a bit of an all-out war, okay? I mean, here there's also a move like, I don't know, knight to c3, and here you can just take the pawn, okay? No, not knight c3, sorry, I meant, no, yeah, knight c3, I moved the f knight, didn't I? I played knight f3, knight to c3. I was thinking when I played that, do I not then just take the pawn? But yeah, so knight to f3, and then you can just sort of take, knight recaptures, and then, I don't know, you just sort of carry on your development, prepare to castle as quickly as possible. But the bulk of this video isn't theory on the CARO KANN, okay? This is known as the main line, by the way. But I have another video that goes over the main line, advanced variation, exchange variation. There's even some like off-brand traps that you can play. I'll link that video down below in the description if you want more in-depth. But guys, I'm going to show you two games where I played the CARO KANN at between like 1400 elo, so I want to show you guys that it does work at an intermediate level. There are clips of like Hikaru saying it's just a stupid opening, but then there's also clips of Magnus Carlsen saying it's very underrated and everyone should know it. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, people have their preferences. But yeah, so my opponent of course plays e4 because otherwise I cannot play the CARO KANN. Let's say they were to play d4, you can still play this move c6, and if they play e4 you can go into a CARO KANN, or if they play like c4 you can play a Slav. Like, there is a lot of theory behind this move c6. So if they do play d4 you can still play c6, but e4 is played, c6, and then they play the move f4, which is a real off-brand variation of the CARO KANN, but my job is still to play d5 and challenge in the center, okay? So basically, no matter what their second move is, you still want to play d5, immediately challenging the center pawn. Like, it's about as simple as it gets, guys. You challenge the center, develop your pieces, go win the game, okay? If only chess was that black and white. They play e5, pushing the pawn. So this looks quite similar to the advanced variation, which we like looked at like two moves in at the start of the video. So I play this move c5, basically just preventing them from being able to play this move d4 immediately. And it's clear that my knight's going to go to c6, further like locking down this d4 square. My opponent gives a check. I should probably have blocked with the bishop here, but I blocked with the knight. But now they can trade it off. and this move d4 is looking like more and more of an option now. The knight jumps to f3. I develop my bishop, pinning the knight to the queen, makes a lot of sense. And when they play this move h3, it's important to note you cannot just slide back, keeping the tension on this knight, because, well, I'll just show you guys, if I were to slide back, they would just trap my bishop, and there would be literally nothing I could do. So obviously do not do that. So I went ahead and just took the knight. You could probably go back to f5, but again, they're going to just gain a tempo kicking me back. So I thought I'm just going to take the knight. They recapture with the queen. Very normal looking stuff so far. I play this move e6, a very common idea in the advanced variation and this variation of the CARO is to get your knight out to this f5 square where it'd be locked down. It can be challenged like this, but it's a bit of an overextension on the king side from white. So knight comes out to c3. I develop my knight to e7, preparing for it to go to f5, where I do then put it. They go ahead and short castle, so it's very unlikely that they're ever going to play g4 now, because a king safety is a very important thing, of course, and to do that would be like opening up the drawbridge of a castle with no defenders behind it. Like, that would just be so stupid. You just don't do that. Queen goes over to b6. Now, my idea here was sort of setting up some sort of discovered check when I push this pawn. You know, maybe if there was ever a piece here, I could then play like this. But also putting pressure on this b file, so sort of pinning this bishop to the defense of this b2 square. Very simple stuff, very simple stuff. Rook goes to b1. I mean, I guess that allows their bishop to then move, but I did think it was a little bit of a waste of time. I now develop my bishop. Knight goes to e2, and then I play c4 with a check. They play king to h1, so I, of course, take the pawn. They recapture, and now it's looking like a bit of an isolated pawn. It's not easy for them to push and become unisolated because my knight and queen are really clamped down on this square. So I have a bit of a target, okay? And it's important to note down weaknesses in your opponent's position. Clearly this d3 pawn is a target. It's on a light square, so it can't be defended by the dark square bishop. It can't push forwards because I currently have this d4 square clamped down like I have from the start. It's not easy. I go ahead and short castle. Engine here wants to move h5. Like, why on earth would I play h5 here? Because then I can't short castle, because my rook is pinned to defending it. It just looks very unpleasant. Clearly Stockfish wants to keep the king in the centre of the board. I'm not Stockfish. That sounds terrifying to me. My opponent plays b3, so this would now mean that their rook and bishop can move from the defence of this square, so sort of unpinning their pieces. I play the move f6 because I'm absolutely terrified of this pawn on e5. I mean, it's really clamping down the centre currently. They don't take, so I take. Their bishop recaptures. And then I bring my rook over to this d-file, just basically in preparation for the whole position to just explode, okay? Guys, if you are enjoying this video so far, by the way, we have loads of other videos where I recap my own progress, so be sure to smash a like button, subscribe if you're new, and go check out some of the other videos, okay? My opponent plays d4. Now, this is a big issue for me because this bishop is a god, okay? It's like, I don't know, Galactus in the new Fantastic Four film. Like, it's about to come eat my whole world, okay? I know bishops can't do that by themselves, but it's absolutely... like, look how active it is. And, like, how am I ever meant to challenge it? Because I don't have pawns on either side. So I immediately played bishop to d6, sorry. They should probably have captured it, because then my rook is sort of in no man's land here, and it looks very uncomfortable, but they don't capture it, so they allow me to take. Obviously, my knight is also hanging. But they should probably, and no, I guess it probably actually is best to take my knight. So they do take my knight, but then I can just move my bishop, taking a pawn. So now I'm up a pawn, and rook g1 is an absolutely horrific move. I mean, you saw the eval bar absolutely have a seizure there. What they needed to play was just f takes on e6, just recapturing that pawn. But they don't. They decide to hang their rook in one move instead. So, of course, I capture the rook because I'd be very, very stupid not to. Their rook recaptures. So, although I'm, you know, up a rook for a bishop and also up a pawn, they're going to have some very quick counterplay on this g-file. So the game is far from over. Don't think that for 1 second. I now recapture this pawn. They slide their queen over, so I need to be careful here not to hang mate in one. So I slide my rook up to f7. The knight jumps forwards, which is obviously a great move. No, it's not. It's an absolutely horrific move, and I just pick up the knight. So, I mean, I've not had to do anything crazy, this game, okay? I just played the CARO KANN, and it just put me in the best possible position to pounce on my opponent's mistakes. Like, I still have pawns in the centre of the board. My opponent has no pawns on the C, D or E file. Like, we've just completely overran the centre of the board. And now my opponent's only hope are these flank attacks, which just aren't going to work. I pick up the knight. They slide over to h4, pressuring my rook on d8, so I of course have to move that away. And then they play queen h6. Now, there's a really cool idea here that I missed, but I did find another cool idea, so I've made it up to you guys, where you actually sack your queen temporarily to remove the pin from this g-pawn, and then you can pick up the queen. I didn't even see this, to be honest with you guys. Didn't even see it, wasn't on my radar. But I did play the very cool looking rook to e2, which I thought was a very fun idea. And the reason is I'm just setting up a mating net, so the king cannot step forwards anymore, and I'm going to give this check eventually. So it's just a very fun idea, setting up a mating net. I did just hit my microphone, sorry if that made a weird noise. My opponent plays queen to c6, picking up a pawn, and then I give a check. And the only move here is this, and then I just take on g2 and win the game. So it's, you know, a very fun game. Positionally, I was better the whole way through. And we just, like I said, overran the centre of the board, guys. So that's a win in our first game with the CARO KANN. Now, second game, perhaps not as smooth, okay. e4 is, of course, played, then c6. They play in this move knight to f3, so d5 again. So I'm showing you so many different variations today, and d5 is always the follow-up, okay. Just immediately challenge. And they play an exchange variation, sort of. I mean, here they should probably have played like d4, and then we have a proper exchange variation. But they play bishop out, giving a check. Now, I should probably block with the bishop, but I block with the knight. And they don't recapture yet. They play this move knight to e5. Whereas if I was to block with a bishop, they wouldn't be able to put more tension in the position because I'd just capture. So a little bit of an oversight from me, but blocking with the knight is still just completely equal. It's absolutely fine. They bring more tension. I play this move queen to b6, attacking the bishop and protecting the knight. They play this brilliant move queen to f3, and it is actually given as a brilliant move because it sacrifices the bishop temporarily for just the most insane counterplay ever. Like, they're going to bring the knight out. Queen is probably going to go to like a5, and then you'll take, probably have to take back like this, and then just like queen g7, you're going to win a rook. So it's, I mean, queen f3 is a brilliant move. Obviously, I don't take the bishop because that's terrifying, and instead play this move knight to f6. They then capture the knight. I recapture with the pawn, and already you can see it is me that has pawns in the centre of the board, not my opponent. They can obviously prepare it at some stage to put pawns in the centre, but out the opening, I'm currently better on the eval bar. Only slightly, of course, but with black, that's quite an achievement. I have pawns in the centre of the board. It's very clear where all my pieces want to be developed as well. Like, just going to go here. Can fianchetto my bishop. Can just drop it forwards to like d7 also. Open up my dark squared bishop. Set up a battery here. It's just, it's such an easy opening to play, guys. I really cannot recommend it enough. Opponent, I play bishop to a6, attacking the rook. They slide their rook over. I then play this move e6, just clamping down the centre of the board, and also preparing my dark squared bishop to be developed. They play d3. Bishop comes out now. Their bishop comes out attacking my knight, which is, of course, a huge blunder, because I can actually play this beautiful move, bishop takes on e5. I mean, this is just such a beautiful idea, and the follow-up is even nicer. So they, of course, recapture with the rook, and you might be thinking, well, how on earth is the eval bar so far in my favour? Like, materials equal, they've got real significant pressure on this knight, and the follow-up move isn't really that obvious, but it's just queen takes on b2, and I attack both rooks. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous, this idea. They then decide to take like this, so I actually just give a check. I don't take either rook because they hang mate in 3. I just give a check. Obviously, if I were to take this, I mean, this is a huge blunder because they can then take on e6, which looks absolutely insane, by the way. But let's say I were to just, I don't know, play a move like this, well, then they would win my queen. So, like, absolutely insane idea. That's why I can't take the rook. and I have to give a check. And they resign in this position because, I mean, there's no point in playing on. Like, you can block and I'll take, and you can block and I'll take, and it will just be mate on the board. There is just nothing you can do. So, guys, I've showed you 2 games here where I implemented the CARO KANN. As you can see, I overran the centre in both games, just developed my pieces very normally. King safety is a huge thing. I found a nice tactic in this game, but in the first game, I never really had to earn my advantage. It was just sort of given to me, and I was there to pounce on the mistakes. So really can't recommend this enough, guys. I have a video on my channel where I discuss the theory a lot more in depth, so definitely check that out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. Get out of here.